Make sure you're muted. You're not.
Hey, everybody. Happy Monday, everybody. All right. Hey, happy Monday to everybody. Hope your day is going all right. I've had a bit of a crazy day. My fifth child, who is 6 years old, has been in the hospital overnight with RSV, which is going around like crazy. And my wife was like, I think I'm going to take him to the ER last night, and kind of glad that she did because he definitely needed to be there. So she's getting home in about 20 minutes. Been home all day. So it's been one of those days for me. I thought we could start out today real quickly with a bit of a check-in, everybody. And the question for the check-in is, what did you like the most about undergraduate music? Go back to your undergrad days. And what did you like the most about undergrad? Of all your music education memories from undergrad, what is like the most prolific memory that comes to mind? So I'll just call roll here, if you don't mind, so I can just make sure I hit everybody. Alex Rivera.
Hi, I'm here.
All right, what was your undergrad takeaway?
Well, that was a long time ago.
Well,
I'm trying to remember back to it. I don't know. I had a lot of really good experiences in undergrad. I was at the University of Illinois. So just a lot of the big school opportunities that I got to have there were great. The basketball team and the football team were actually pretty decent when I was there. So some of those trips and those experiences, but just getting to learn from everybody.
okay. All right. So that was a pretty general answer. You guys can be specific too if you want. Angela.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what the question was.
Oh, you just signed on, didn't you? I just let you, I
Yes.
just let you in. The question was, what was your most memorable experience in undergrad music education?
I don't know. I was part of the National Band Association group, and we got a bunch of students together to make a reading ensemble, and we invited the composer Michael Markowski to come out, and we performed a bunch of his stuff, and then we got to talk about the process of a composer, like commissioning a piece and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Okay, perfect. That is awesome. Anthony.
Hi, I'm here. See, I did undergrad at Elmhurst College, which is now Elmhurst University College while I was there. And the head of music ed there came over from Indiana decades before I got there, Judy Grimes. And one of the things she started in Indiana and brought over to Elmhurst was every single January over our J term, our 1 month long single credit term in between the fall and the spring semester, was she would take a whole bunch of her music ed students on a class to Jamaica. And we would bring a whole bunch of instruments and gear and stuff down to teach music in the schools in Jamaica. And a lot of hands-on experience there in the schools, like one-on-one or in small groups with your instrument. And of course you're in Jamaica, so that's awesome. And I ended up doing it 4 times, I think, while I was an undergrad. And then that also turned into a couple years after I had started my first job, I went again to judge one of the local band festivals down there. And then had my 10-year anniversary trip down there as well. So lots and lots of time spent in Jamaica because of the time I had an undergrad at Elmhurst teaching down there.
All right, very good. That's cool. Beth Ann Crawl.
Hi, I'm here.
You guys don't need to be super elaborate with this. It was just meant to be like kind of a quick thing. If you don't have much to say, it can just be a couple words. It's cool.
I like the general music classes where we would be learning like kindergarten, first, second grade level play party games, while our non-music friends were, sitting in biology labs and things like that, just singing and playing those kind of games were a fun break from the norm.
That's awesome. Good. That may have been one of my favorite parts too. I went to a school that did a lot of that. So very good. Brad Meyer.
I think one of my favorite memories was I got to play a concert with PDQ Bach, Peter Schickele, it was a unique experience considering his type of music.
Did you do the grand serenade for Awful Lot of Winds and Percussion?
I believe so. I think it involved us going to the dump and picking out some weird percussive instruments from old cars and stuff like that as well. So
Yeah, then you like knock them over in the middle of the piece. Perfect.
yeah, it's good times.
All right. Good one. Okay. Bridget.
I think when I was in choir and theater at the time, and so we would put together monthly lunch hour concerts and little vignettes and whatever else during the lunch hours in the student center, and then we'd open that up. So it ended up being kind of an open mic sort of thing. But that was really cool.
That's cool. All right. Doug.
I guess mine's more general. I was at University of Illinois during the James Keene years, who just recently passed away. So I think one of the highlights there was just being in the ensemble with him for that time. He was a really excellent musician and educator.
Great.
Awesome too. We're doing two for tonight, so if you want to get Allison as well, she's on here.
Sorry,
Yep.
my computer's not working. Mine, I don't have anything specific. I just miss how much time I had to practice my instrument.
Yep. I think we all could probably resonate with that. Very good. Haley.
I went to Illinois Wesleyan, and I definitely loved having my weekly voice lessons with my voice teacher, and also singing in a choir under Scott Ferguson was an amazing experience.
Excellent. Okay. Hector.
Here, I think my most memorable experience is honestly just like the overall experience, I guess, because prior to college, I really didn't have much exposure to really the musical world. I never took lessons, never did any of that. But when I got to Northern Illinois, that really opened up everything and kind of really, I got to see what all is possible in
What was your
music.
instrument?
I play tuba.
Okay. Cool. Thanks for sharing. All right. James Wilder.
Sorry, I didn't meet myself there, but gosh, I went to DePaul University, and the main reason why I went there is because I did follow my my saxophone teacher that taught me pretty much everything. But I eventually did switch over to music education, and probably one of the coolest things that we did was for our Wind Symphony one's fall, we did the New Morning for the World, the piece for narrator and orchestra. We did a band transcription of that, and it was really cool to play something with the narrator and the whole story behind that. Something I haven't really done before. So yeah, that was probably the most memorable thing.
That's very cool. That's funny because I remember one thing from my undergrad was something that had like a narration too. It was you guys know the name Sam Hazo in the band world?
Sure.
Right. So he's from Pittsburgh, and when I went to Duquesne University, we used to play a lot of his music that he was writing at the time. He wasn't very well known at the time, but he would bring music back to Duquesne where he went, and we would try it out, of course. But we did this cool concert with James Earl Jones as the narrator, And who was the female? Oh gosh, famous actress. I can't think of her name right now, but you'd all know. But anyway, they did this like poetry band night, and I don't know, it's probably in retrospect, it was kind of weird, but I'll never forget it. It was cool. It was awesome. It definitely kept in my memory. So that's good. That's good, James. All right, Jill.
I think the most memorable experience was Colonel Arnold Gabriel came to clinic us and conducted a concert, and it was just one of the most musical, moving experiences I've had in performing. He really knows how to bring the music out of a group, and we played Russian Christmas music. I remember that specifically, and it was just really one of the top performances I can count in my life. So it was very inspiring.
Wow. What do you play?
I play flute.
All right, good. Cool. All right. Thank you for sharing. Let's do Kelly.
All right, it was a long time ago for me too, but I still remember. I went to USC, and my biggest thing that I remember and love to this day and still take my students to go see is the Trojan Marching Band. I was in the Trojan Marching Band, and my biggest thing to remember is we went to the World Expo in Spain the first summer after my freshman year. So that one sticks with me just as it was an amazing trip.
That's neat. Do you remember what you played? Like what piece?
It was a lot of the fight songs and all the stuff that USC plays all the time, because that's what they're known for. Yeah.
Cool.
But it was playing it everywhere. So it was fun.
All right. It's good. It's good. Kevin Frederick.
I'm gonna go with the people I met along the way. That was the best part, and seeing friends practicing at like 2 a.m. and just being like, "Why are you still here?" So those are the memories I look back on and enjoyed the most.
Thank you. That's great. All right, Madison.
So I went to Western Illinois, and my freshman year, our wind ensemble went and performed at IMEC. I think that's when it was still ILMEA. And I remember performing Charles Ives' The Alcotts, and it was just such a cool piece of music. And it's funny because I played so much music in that ensemble since then, but that freshman year playing The Alcotts has always stuck with me, and especially the performance at IMEC.
All right. Very cool. Mike Fansler is the man. He's the best. All right. Mallory, let's go. Let's have you go next.
Yeah, I think my favorite memory is just having all the options for ensembles to play with and be a part of. And particularly, I played in the pit orchestras for the theater department quite a few times. And I think like those were my favorite to play in, like just something about like being under a stage, playing music, being heard, not being seen. That's my thing.
Love it. Yeah, that's probably why we all got in this business, right? It's just play, sing, 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 right? All right. That was Mallory. So Mandy. Oh wait, I think Mandy sent me a message. She's in the car, but she said her favorite part of undergrad was playing in clarinet studio, playing clarinet choir with her friends. So clarinet choir. Cool. All right, thanks for sharing that. Megan Katz.
Hi, I think my favorite memory was all the times that we went on band tour. It was just a lot of fun. Just we traveled locally, and so being on the bus with everybody and having that bonding experience was a lot of fun.
Yep. Very cool. Okay, Paul.
All right. Well, I went to NIU, and I'm a euphonium player, and it was nice to always play in wind ensemble because you're the only euphonium player for most of those small groups, and that was a lot of fun. But I think tops was still being able to play in the steel band That's when Cliff Alexis was still around, and Liam Teague was actually a student, and he runs the department now. And he was this fresh 18-year-old kid from Trinidad, and playing in the group with him. I mean, that was a pretty amazing time.
Nice. You guys, if you don't know Illinois and you don't know the NIU steel band program, it's one of the very few where you can actually major in steel pan. And yeah, that's good stuff. Who was the wind ensemble director with you? Was it Larry Stoffel?
It was Steve Squires.
Oh, Steve. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I love that guy. Intense.
Oh yeah.
All right. Let's see. That was Paul. Let's see. Protzman.
Yeah, it's Ed. I think for me, it was just the general process of learning that band music could be really artistic, and specifically an intercollegiate band that I was in that did music for Prague, and I got to play timpani. Kind of changed my whole view of wind music, and learning that it could be just as much as orchestral music, be really deep and artistically rewarding.
Wow. That just brought back a memory for me, because I played music for Prague in undergrad with Karel Husa in the audience. And
awesome.
We played it on a band tour, because some of you guys have mentioned the tours, right? We played it at the Pennsylvania All-State Conference. And anyway, he was in the audience. And at the end, we were playing it in this beautiful ballroom. But at the end, when the drums are just like crushing for like 2 minutes straight, the ceiling tiles in this ballroom started to vibrate so much that the plaster started to rain down on the band. And I'll never forget playing, and like this white stuff is just covering the whole band. And we all finished and we're like, oops. I mean, it was just so loud. But that's how he wanted it, man. He wanted it loud. So, all right, Tyler.
Yeah, my most memorable moment from Western was going down to New Orleans with the jazz group, and then getting to play with some of the great guest artists that were down there. And then at that night, just walking down the street and seeing all of them soloing and stuff in the various restaurants and things throughout the evening.
Got that vivid memory in there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. All right. And then Vanessa.
I think my most memorable thing is probably the acoustics in our concert hall. I went to North Central and I just missed that. Every year we would do a Explore the Sounds concert. So I distinctly remember circling the balcony and dropping like rose. I think we did leaves one year, something weird. And then standing up like behind the audience and singing Vueli from Frozen and like things like that. So that was a lot of fun.
Okay. So Wentz Hall, yeah. Yeah. Amazing place. So I chucked all those in the chat. I'm not sure if that's a good representation of what you said, but I was listening and writing. But I started this off tonight because I just wanted to re-emphasize the idea that no one came out of undergrad. And I'm going to make the argument that for some of us, that may have been the best musical experience we had had at that point in our life, right? And maybe for some of you, you've never played in a more immersive or intensive experience than undergrad because you went into teaching and you don't have time to perform professionally as well as do your job. It's very likely. So maybe undergrad is your only like serious, ridiculously awesome music experience you've had. And if we look through that list, if you just want to kind of scroll through that, and we look at things like the groups, the ensembles, the literature, I'm seeing like, composers and conductors. I'm seeing like the comprehensive experience. Again, conductors, the idea that this is musical and it's art. The tours, the memories, the people. No one in here said, I loved music theory. Now, I'm going to say that I loved music theory because I did. I studied theory with a great guy. Remember American Overture for Band? That's by Joseph Wilcox Jenkins. That's my theory professor. Great guy, hilarious dude, hilarious. But when I have to think about my undergraduate memories, he doesn't even make the top 10. Because things like, I don't know, for me, playing Mahler 4 was memorable. Because I just dorked out on that piece. I loved it. The conductor was amazing. The piece was amazing. The year was everything about it. I remember it. And I'll never forget doing Donald Grantham's Southern Harmony. It was the first year it was out, and we like got it. We rented the piece or whatever and got it and played it, and it was awesome. I'll never forget that. And a lot of the memories I think about are like my small groups, my big groups. It just comes down to like the repertoire and the memories of the people that we were playing together. And this class, all the work we've been kind of doing to prepare all this music and choose all the music, think about if the conductors that you were inspired by and the conductors that you deem as memorable people and they were the ones that created those musical experiences, or even the groups that you played with impromptu in the halls, like someone said, if the music wasn't right, you wouldn't have had anything, right? And I know we have differing opinions on whether the repertoire is the curriculum, but guys, the repertoire is the curriculum. If you don't pick the right music, you're not creating memories for your kids. You know, and my big thing is, oh, well, I can't create great memories for my kids because the stuff I really think would be memorable is way too hard for my kids. Wrong. You know, like if it's too hard for them, then make it fun, make it memorable. If your program can't do something like take a tour, do something that they're going to remember, right? Because these are the things that stay with us for a long time. And again, no one sat here and said, you know, I loved getting into like the Shalimar register of the clarinet and refining like some things about my fingering pattern. It's like, again, we all did that. Duh, we all worked on that. All your kids are working on that stuff too. But it's the literature that will remain with them forever. And I know that if you had to go through your middle school band songs and pick one song you remember, you could do it. You know, I remember playing The Power of Love by like Huey Lewis and the News, and I played timpani on it in like 7th grade. The power of love, right? Remember that? That stupid 80s song? I remember playing timpani on that. What a horrible song to play in a concert band, but I'll never forget that. And I played timpani on it of all instruments. I didn't even get to play the drum set. And I'll never forget playing blah, 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 all the pieces. If you really go back and you start really thinking, you know, and what makes them memorable sometimes is just the players are great. The piece came together really well. But how critical was it that the conductor chose the piece that you remember now, right? And so the work you're doing right now in this class, I don't want you to just go like, yeah, I just threw all my crap on a spreadsheet and this is easy and whatever. Okay, good. I'm glad it's easy. That's kind of the point of most of my classes. I want them to be easy so that you can spend your brain power on your kids at school. But don't make it so easy and so like haphazard that you miss the point, which is that if you're truly a professional music educator, that you consider every single piece and every scale you choose and every rhythm that you put on the board every day as like, dude, this is crucial information for these kids because they are going to remember it for the rest of their lives. All right. So coming to you at that with that premise tonight, and wanted to just kind of log back into where we are in the class and prepare you for what's next. And then tonight I'll get the module worked out. What we're going to be doing next is reading a wonderful article. And the article is from a book. I'll call it a chapter, but it's really kind of an article. It is called The 33 Ps of a Wonderful Rehearsal. And I mentioned this article in the preview night, when we did this a month or two ago. So the 33 P's, letter P, of A Wonderful Rehearsal was written by Peter Boonshaft, Dr. Boonshaft from Hofstra University. Has anybody here worked with Boonshaft ever? All right, I got one or two people. Cool.
He was a
So-
speaker at the Vermont Music Educators Conference like 2 weeks ago.
You just saw him?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, no way. And of course, he's hilarious. And
he was great. I attended like 3 of his sessions.
oh my gosh, he's the best. So I encountered this guy when I was in high school. I was in bands with him he was like an honor band conductor. And he does less and less of that more because he's such a great author now. But a lot of these people started out as like honor band conductors, honor choir people. They got their reputation built that way. And then people were like, you should write a book. Well, Boonshaft the guy is like, his brain fires at like a different speed than the rest of us. And his humor is off the charts. But his memory, going back to this idea of memory, his memory is freakish. I mean, like he'll see you at a conference and meet you, and then he'll see you 3 years later and he'll like remember that you had a conversation with him. He's like Dr. Tim or any of those guys. Like, it's like, wow, he actually does care about me. It's crazy. He does. And he wrote this book called Teaching Music with Passion. If you don't have the book, you've got to get the book. Let me see if I have it up here. It's red. Oh yeah, red and purple. There it is. Ta-da! Great book. Short and sweet. The letters are super small though, so you have to really want to read. So get in the mood. But this thing is 33 P words that can make your rehearsal great. And I think it's the kind of article that when you read it, it really challenges you. It really makes you think about why you do things and how easy your job should be, and yet how difficult it really is. So the words that we're throwing out would be something like plant, P-L-A-N-T, plant. And he talks about planting seeds and how, yeah, we're not farmers, but we are planting seeds. And sometimes the kids don't seem like they get it, or even worse, sometimes the kids, it seems like they're never going to get it. You have a kid in your ensemble right now where you're like, that kid should never have joined band or never should have joined the choir. Like, why are you here? Right. And yet it's like, okay, it's my job. I got to get him through this. And he's always going to make the trombone sound horrible. And we'll just have to put Band-Aids on things, and we'll just have to get him through the stuff. He's never going to be my first cheer person. Right. And yet sometimes, and those of you that have been around the block long enough, you know this, sometimes the kids that are really struggling, then like 7 or 8 years later, you're like, you go to college and you're in your college band? What? What do they have you doing? Like equipment management? And they, oh no, yeah, I'm principal of the orchestra or whatever. And you're like, what the heck? How is that even possible? And it's because the seeds that you planted in middle school somehow germinated down the road, and boom, the kid took off. I have a great example of a kid right now who's teaching music education right a couple towns away from me. And when he was in my freshman band, he told me that he wanted to be a band director. And I thought, well, there goes music education right there. This kid cannot be a band director. And yet slowly, he built and built and built, and he got it. He nailed it. He became a great musician. But my initial thought of him was like, gosh, we're never going to be a good band because this guy is not a very good player. And he just challenges you to say, like, you're always planting seeds. You're always doing positive things. You might not get to experience them in your ensemble, but down the road, somebody else might. Or go to a really, really detailed kind of a word here, precise. How important is it to expect your students to be precise in a rehearsal? Really important, right? Like that's where it all bases from. It's like, let's play a note together. Ready? Boom. And if it's not perfectly together, oh, that probably was a fluke. I heard a saxophone player come in early there. Let's get it right this time. Boom. And you get it. And the very first thing you do every day is being precise. Well, now we can have a rehearsal because you've set the standard for, we're going to play together every single time. Right. And that's what Boonshaft is great at. Let's see, who was the person, Mallory, right? It was Mallory that was talking about, yeah, Boonshaft. I don't know if you probably didn't get to see him conduct anything, but the guy is like precision, precision, precision. I'll never forget, I was in an ensemble in high school with him. I don't have a baton with me, but I have a pen. But let's pretend that this is his baton. He's on the podium, first rehearsal with like the all Jersey region band, whatever we were, like North Jersey band. And he goes, all right, let's play B flat, please. And he gets everyone's attention and he goes, you missed it. Now let's try it again. Oh, you guys missed it again. I gave you the note. What happened? So every time he would do this, we would all, lean in further and further. And finally we're really watching the baton. And finally we started to see it. It was this little movement. And we're like, this is how small this guy is going to conduct. This is going to be a long weekend. Holy cow. So he gets us playing, a centimeter baton movement. And then he goes, all right, I'm not actually going to conduct that way. But if I did, could you follow? And then he said, let's do a normal gesture now. Boom. How together do you think the band was? We were perfect the first time that he gave a real gesture, because he engaged with us the idea of precision. And then he said, this is so easy to play precisely. You just have to really focus and really listen and really think, right? And so this book, he literally just spells it out, 33 things you can do to be an awesome conductor. And I would say, if you even did 5 of them in a week or 5 of them in a month, I know you'd be a better ensemble director. This is based on him being a band teacher, but this is a music book. He doesn't really talk about band in this book. That's his thing that he does. But it's all about music teachers. So I hope you enjoy that one. I think my favorite one that I hope is going to be applicable for you all, if you haven't had a concert, or maybe you just finished the concert, because I know we're at that end of October where maybe you just finished one, or there's one coming up. There's one that's called the pep talk. And he talks about how important the pep talk is. And for a guy like Peter Boonshaft, who is as precise and like super amazing rehearsal technician, I was always kind of surprised that he put the pep talk in the book, because it's kind of a cheesy idea of like, if you give your kids a pep talk, they'll play better. And so I read this book many years ago, and I went up to my band before a concert, one of the groups, and I said, hey, do you guys want to have a pep talk before the concert tonight? And said it like that, obviously. I said, want to have a pep talk tonight? And they're like, yeah, give it to us, Mr. Schneider. Yeah, let's hear it. And I just winged, like totally impromptu, a pep talk. I wasn't good at it. I didn't have anything scripted or note card or anything. I just said something to the extent of, you guys, I don't know how tonight's going to go, but it sure has been fun rehearsing this music with you the last couple of weeks. And you know what? I'm really looking forward to getting new music tomorrow. That's going to be really fun too. But let's get out there and rock it. It was a super short pep talk. I didn't say it exactly in those words, but I articulated something to the extent of, this is going to be good. I can't wait to get new music. And that has been my pep talk, like for my whole career. Ever since I did that one, that's always been my pep talk, is something about, I'm proud of our journey. Let's rock this concert. And then who's ready for some new music? Everyone, on 3, here we go. And for me, that basically communicates to my ensemble that we're at the end of the journey. We've rehearsed, we've done what we can. We are going to go out and give a concert, and we're going to do the best job we can. But this one concert is not the end goal. We're getting new music tomorrow. we're about to start the journey all over again, my friends. So it's not about this piece, it's about the journey. And I don't know, you guys, that's just an example of how this book has really challenged me over the years. Is the 33 Ps always reminds me of how easy it is to be a good music teacher, and yet how mindful you have to be about all these things, like the repertoire. All right, so that's what you're going to read this week. Also, we are moving into score study. And the score study stuff that we're going to work on this week is essentially a couple of techniques that I've learned over the years. It's kind of a hodgepodge chapter of ideas. But the big question is, do you score study? Now, I say that with all the grace in the world, because I know how hard it is to score study when you are working 8 hours a day and you have other things in your life. I get it. Like, score study is hard. And I think when I was a younger teacher, I always thought of score study as pulling out all of your scores and having like analysis charts and highlighters, and everything's marked, and post-it notes. I mean, like, the whole thing is like a big, huge ordeal. And I would spend hours at night doing that, and my car would be the last in the parking lot. That used to be somewhat of a trophy statement. Oh, look at my car, I'm the last one to leave. Look at me, I'm the winner, you know? Bull crap. Score study can be done in 5 minutes. And that's how I switched I flipped a switch. I can't talk tonight. I flipped a switch at some point in my career where I started to think, if I just work a little faster and a little smarter, I can get more done, right? And I know you all are with me on that. So who has 5 minutes in their school day where they don't do anything? Like, it's a lunch, it's a prep, it's like a breather. You have 5 minutes, okay? Okay, so if you have 5 minutes in a prep period, I would recommend some point this week, do one time, 5 minutes. Grab a score, go to a piano, open up your score and figure out a chord progression in a piece that you know sounds a little dicey right now. Or find some place in the music that you just want to play on the piano. The melody, the accompaniment, the trombone chords that never sound good, the clarinet chords that never sound quite good. You're going, what, you know, one of those ostinato patterns. And I'm thinking like French horn trombones, they're always playing, you know, bum, 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 those, you know, thirds and fourths and things, right? And you put it on the piano and you spend a couple of minutes on there and you go, you know what, we're going to work on this today in class. And that's my score study for today. That's how I hope some of you will start approaching score study, is a little bit every single day, instead of this massive CMP, you know, Bible approach of going like, I've got to have the whole thing down. Now, if some of you have that time, like I know people that spend like a week in the summer and they have it all laid out and all perfected. That's awesome. Okay. But I still think that you have to score study during the year, even if you do that. I still think you got to get in that score constantly and push yourself to say, why are my kids singing out of tune? Or why are my kids struggling so much with this right here? Like, I've got to get this figured out. Okay, so the sopranos, they're trying to sing this thing that has all these skips and leaps and things. And maybe, oh, maybe if I teach them the chords that, you know, the arpeggio of that, and we sing a chord and then we outline the chord and we do some sort of structured process to learn it, maybe it makes it better. And that all comes from you sitting at the piano and trying some things. All right. So I wanted to end tonight by asking if anybody has any like score study stories about how you spent very little time trying to figure something out in your prep period or after school, took very little time, and then got this like massive result from doing it. I wanted to see if anyone could think of anything you've ever done like that musically that gave you just a great result with your kids. Anybody have any good examples of that? Go for it, James.
So right now my my junior high students of 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. They are they're working on the Robert Longfield arrangement of the Avengers theme, and something I got them to do in a very short amount of time is we're just going to focus on the rhythmic ostinato, 1 and 3, 4, have them all play it on the concert B flat scale, and match articulation, for me, we figured that out in a very short amount of time, and I kind of just figured that off the top of my head, and during a playing period, and it ended up working very well for me. So
good. So you extracted a rhythm that was giving him a tough time, or you knew it, you had to be proactive about it? Which one?
I knew I had to be proactive about it. So
okay,
I decided, what, let's have everybody play it.
Okay. And then how did you go from the counting or the unison playing into the music?
Well, the ostinato part is directly into the the trombone, the low brass, low woodwind stuff, and so there's a lot of people that have that driving rhythm. So I guess I transitioned as okay, who has this rhythm at whatever measure.
Okay, good. Here's something that took me way too long to figure out, but I'm going to pass on this advice for doing like a rhythm of the day kind of extraction thing, especially when you're sight reading or at the very initial point of the piece. If you can open up your score and find the rhythm, like the rhythmic motif of the piece, maybe it's not the one that is the melodic feature, but it's the one that keeps coming back and it's going to haunt the ensemble every single time, right? And maybe it is part of the melody, but I'm thinking of a rhythm that appears many, many times in the piece. It appears in all the accompaniment patterns. It appears as a unison moment in the piece, as a big moment. And a lot of our easier music has this, sort of element to it, is these repeated rhythms. So a lot of times we'll look in the score, we'll find the rhythm, and we'll go, wow, it's just all over the piece. It's every time I turn the page, it's somewhere, right? And we put it on the board and we write out the rhythm. And then we say, all right, welcome. Let's play our E flat key today is from the piece. Here we go. We do an E flat scale, and then maybe you do a rhythm on that E flat, and you say, let's do bum 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 bum. You get something going like that, right? And you play up and down the scale, and you say, all right, we just mastered that rhythm, very good. And then sometimes we're too quick to skip here. We go into the piece and we find one spot where the band maybe plays it in unison, or the orchestra plays it at least a couple of times, and we get it. And then we say, all right, does everyone, that's how it works. Okay. And we assume that everyone has it down. Okay. And the next step that I would take is saying, we just spent 2 minutes playing this on a scale, which is kind of like torture for some kids, at least. It's like, man, this is a long time to spend during one class. How can we get a lot of bang out of this activity? My thought is go through the entire piece and find that rhythm. All right. So go back to the beginning and say, all right, in the introduction, does anyone see this rhythm? Wait for it. Wait for it. Oh, the French horns raise their hand because they're the only ones that play it in that measure. That's right, French horns. Nice. Play up for us. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the French horns come in with it, and it's a disaster because they're playing by themselves. All right, everyone go back to the rhythm. Here we go. Everyone together. 1, 2, here we go. Unison. Bum, 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 stop. French horns, play your first measure. Oh, they're different notes, aren't they? Yeah. You guys are on a lower note there, aren't you? Okay, let's do it. 1, 2, French horns go. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, there it is. Maybe you work it out. Okay, measure 2, somebody else has it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Flutes and oboes. Yes, very good. Let's hear it. Likelihood, flutes and oboes will probably play it pretty well because the French horns just did it, and they're flutes and oboes. And 1, 2, here we go. And the flutes and oboes play it. You work it out. You get them to play it well. Okay, let's go over to the next place. Where do we see it next? Now you basically are in analysis mode. You've turned the rehearsal over to them and you're saying, I'm not in charge anymore. You guys tell me where the thing is. I got it in measure 5. Yep, you sure do. Let's see. Altos, yeah, alto saxes, you sure do. Very good. 1, 2, ready, go. Altos play it perfectly because they're motivated now. Okay, who's got it next? Whoa, the entire band has their hand up for measure 17 or whatever it is, right? Okay, wow, we play that in unison. So now you can start talking about the word unison, right? That's a score study idea. So you're basically turning the analysis piece over to the band saying, we just studied this. I want you to find all the instances. Let's do it. And you can do this with a lot of concepts, not just rhythm. You could do it with little beginner kids, like crescendo. Hey, who sees one of these crescendos in the piece, right? Where are they? Where are they? Let's hear your crescendo, buddy. Oh man, that was a great crescendo. Let's hear your crescendo. What measure is it in? It's in 19. Okay, play it. Wow, what a great crescendo. Play your crescendo. You get kids wanting to play individually for you and really buy into the class that way, all because you're turning the score study idea over to your class. Back to what James was saying, you took how many minutes to be like, I'm going to be a little proactive today and like get this rhythm down in the Avengers. And these activities, I think, are what kids love the most about band, orchestra, and choir class, is when you can take one little idea, make them feel like they're the experts in the room. Oh, I found it. I got it. I can do it. I can be the example. And then you play the piece and the element is in there. Instead of, this is the difference. And this is more of a novice teacher approach. Play the scale. Everyone play it. Okay, now let's play the intro. It's like, whoa, you just missed like the assessment. You missed the whole point of this being a school. We're trying to learn. Right? So you can't skip over saying who's got it in measure 1, who's got it in measure 5, who's willing to do that. All right. So score study this week, the whole point of the score study chapter is that I want you to think about being proactive, like James, being thoughtful about how much time you actually spend with your kids. Like it's not enough, right? What is a nugget of music that I can study and then make it a really fun activity for my kids? And they'll want you to break this stuff down more and more and more. They'll want you to be more analytical with them if you do this a little every day. And I think your ensemble will play a lot better, really do. So that is that. You're going to read you're reading the 33 Ps. You're doing the score study for everyday conductors. And then the rest of it's pretty pretty cut and dry. Let me pull one thing up and make sure I can see it here. Yeah, I think I showed this to you. I'm going to share my screen really fast. I showed this to you at the beginning of the class, so you can watch the video if you need to, but we're going to be working on one of these slides this week. So this is one of those like literature examples that kind of comes out of your score study. Right? Like it's not always about the rhythms and the notes. Sometimes it's about the stories that the piece tells or the history that the piece is based off of. So this was that example of the second suite for military band. I've got the dates in here of Holst. I've got the songs that the piece is based on. I've got, let's see if I can pull this up here. Oh yeah, I've got some current events from when the piece was written, who was president back then, all that kind of stuff, right? Things you should be talking about with every piece that you teach. But again, sometimes if you don't force yourself, it's easy to forget because you get into the notes and rhythms and all the stuff. So my question for you is, if you had a slide like this that was maybe more involved, maybe less involved, but if you had a slide that looked like this for every piece, and you did this, where, oh, I can't, logged in. Nice, I'm not logged into this thing. Okay. Well, you can imagine this. if I were to take this guy's picture here, Holst, and move him to the left off the screen and take all the pictures, as a matter of fact, off the screen, but leave just the Titanic picture. Can you imagine that slide without everything except for the Titanic? Okay. That's how maybe you start introducing this piece. All right, the concert's over. Here's some new music. All right, cool. So this piece, Holst, this was written at the same time that the Titanic sank, you guys. Isn't that crazy that that was that long ago? And talk about the history of the piece and when it was written and such. This all comes back to the current events of the time. And you say, from now on, if I tell you to get the piece of music out that was same time as the Titanic, that's what we're playing today. So then day 2, when the kids come back, all you have to do is write a boat on the board to tell them what piece of music they're going to play next. And you want to jog their memory. Oh yeah, this is from the 1900s. That's right. Oh yeah, which piece were we doing in the 1900s? Oh, it was the first suite. All right. Or second suite, sorry. So the idea being that you want to get away from the music a little bit to bring in all the other education that they have at school, of course, this comprehensive learning idea. So you're going to pick one piece and you're going to create a slide like this. And maybe this will cause you to think, you know, why don't I have a piece like this or a slide like this for every piece? And I know some teachers that have taken this so far that they show the slideshow behind their group at the concert. So the parents can be like, wow, they covered a lot of crap. I didn't know that they learned anything in band besides the guy just goes like this. I thought that's all they did in band. They just played their instruments. No, we actually talk about current events. We actually talk about history. We connect it all together in music. It forces you then to be a great concert, announcements person. Like, hey, let's make sure you know what we're learning about. We do this, by the way, but how do you prove it? Here's our slides from class. Now, I know not every concert is appropriate to show a slideshow behind, but if you have one, a moment to do something like that, this is a great thing that you can use in multiple ways. All right, so you're going to do one of those slides for at least one of your pieces for your ensembles. All right, cool. So that's where we're going. The 33 Ps, a slideshow, and the score study chapter. So if anyone doesn't have, or if you guys don't have any questions, I'm going to kind of leave it open for if you need anything tonight, or if you want to ask me anything as you're finishing up our thoughts here on these chapters. I was trying to get my grading caught up last night, and then my wife took my son to the hospital, and life got a little crazy last night. So I didn't do any work on this class as I was supposed to. But so I apologize that I'm not up to date on grades and such, but it seems like everyone's hanging in there, and I appreciate your work, guys. All right. So again, have a great night. I'll be on if you have any questions. Thanks.